Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from chapter 4, text 34, page 262. I don't know, it's a different book. What page number? 262, 434. What page number? Anyway. Tadvidi paripaptena paripasena sevaya videkyanti te jnanas jnastapadarshanaha. Word for word. That knowledge of different sacrifices. Vidhi, try to understand. Prani Paptena, by approaching a spiritual master. Pariprasena, by submissive inquiries. Sevaya, by rendering service. Upadekshanti, they will initiate. Te, you, jnanam, into knowledge. Jnanam, self-realized. Tattva, for the truth. Darshana, seer. Translation. Let's try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire of him submissively, render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Please repeat. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you if they have seen the truth. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle, disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master. A person in disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be separated, spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam 6.3.19 says, Dharma tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry argument cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is a submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be accepted. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. When he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiry become perfect. Om Arganatram Dasya Janatana Slakaya Sakshu Nimitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Danti Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Translation once again. Just try to learn the truth by approaching his spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. So Kuradas, he gave a class on this verse yesterday, and he gave a figure. I don't remember the figure. How many times this verse, Prabhupada quoted this verse? Many times. So this verse, section here, 34, verse 34 to 42, is a summary of transcendental knowledge. So, three things here. We have to render service, we have to inquire, and we have to surrender to the spiritual master. First line, Prabhupada says it's a difficult path. Well, there's Pravritti Marg and Nivritti Marg. Pravritti Marg is the path when people want to enjoy sense gratification. Nivritti Marg is the path when one wants to become liberated or get out of the bondage of material life. So this path, Krishna consciousness, is a simple process, but it may be difficult because of our conditioning. Many of us were not fortunate enough to take birth in this movement. So we had to be in the material world for some time and perform all kinds of sinful activities, not knowing what path to take. The Father, it says, there's the fourth canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th sloka, chapter 31, chapter 10, verse 10, says there are three kinds of births. First birth is from the father and the mother. This birth everyone has. But if the father and mother are not devotees, they cannot help anyone become Krishna conscious, nor they can even give their children the right to tell the children what is right and what is wrong. So because the parents don't know what is right and wrong, so they can't tell the children what is right and wrong. The father may say to his child, don't smoke cigarettes, but if he's smoking cigarettes himself, it won't have any effect. Or may tell him not to drink alcohol, but if he's drinking alcohol, it won't have any effect. So the first birth, that is called previous life. The second birth is when you meet the spiritual master and take initiation. Harinam initiation. When Prabhupada went to New York, 1966, he gave first Harinam initiation, started initiating. At that time, he told his disciples that you have to follow 4 principles: no eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. So they were a little surprised to hear that. Especially, no illicit sex. That's the hardest one to give up, because the whole world is based on sex life, and everywhere you go, everything you see, everywhere you go, it's everything's geared to agitate your mind for sex life. So people think sex life is part of, you have to have sex life or you can't live, or you'll die. People think like that. But it's not true. The Narada Muni, the 4 Kumaras, the Chetas, they were all celibate from their whole life. So if you don't have sex life, then you become very strong, and your brain will become very strong. Not, it's just the other way around. If you have sex life all the time, then you become very weak. So it's not an essential thing in life to have sex life. But if one wants to have sex life, then one can get married with the permission of the Guru and have regulated sex life, which means once a month, for the purpose of getting Krishna conscious children, not otherwise. So that's first birth. We promise to chant 16 rounds of Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And follow these 4 regulated principles. So that's after 6 months of being in the movement. Now they have a different standard. Maybe 1 year, you have to wait 1 year. You have to take the disciple Guru course to understand this Guru Tattva, or the position of the spiritual master, the position of the disciple. And then there's the 3rd birth, which is the Brahman initiation. And that's when you get the Brahman thread. But the Brahman thread is only given to men, not women. The Prabhupada gave 2nd initiation to women, but they gave them Gayatri Mantra, but no, women don't wear Brahman thread. And Prabhupada went to Australia. He wanted to install a deity, and Prabhupada wanted 10 Brahmins in the temple to worship the deity. So, because only Brahmins can cook for the deity and do the puja and dress the deities and go on the altar. So they told one lady, you make Brahman thread for all the people who are getting 2nd initiation. So she said, what's a Brahman thread? She didn't know that, but it was. And she said, well, should I make one for myself? And they said, no, women don't wear Brahman thread. Because generally women get married, whatever the husband becomes, that's what the woman becomes. So if the husband's a Brahmin, has a Brahman thread and has 2nd initiation, then the woman also is considered to have the same, follows in his footsteps. But Prabhupada gave 2nd initiation to women so they could do puja, do deity worship, cook for the deities, do all these things that the men do. So this is important. So these 3 births are there. So the 1st birth, that's not very important until one has met a genuine spiritual master. Then he has not really taken a proper birth. So here we're talking about the spiritual master must be in this line, disciple succession. And he must have the ability to know what the truth is and to teach the truth to his disciple. So there's 4 disciple successions. One from Lord Shiva, one from Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, one from the 4 Kumaras, and one from Lord Brahma. These are the only 4 bona fide discipleship successions. If someone is not in one of these discipleship successions, then he cannot be considered a bona fide spiritual master. So these 4 sampradayas, they all agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While they may have different tilak markings, and they may have different slightly variations on the philosophy, but they all agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you're in any one of these discipleship successions, you can also attain perfection and go back to Godhead. So we're in the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Sampradaya. And when Madhvacharya came, Ishvara Puri, then Lord Chaitanya, then Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Gorkashwar Das Babaji, Bhakti Santa, and Srila Prabhupada. This is our Guru Parampara. So Prabhupada said that his only credit was that he didn't change anything, simply gave the same message that his guru gave him. Prabhupada was in Calcutta, he grew up in Calcutta, and his friend said to him, there's a sadhu, saintly person speaking tonight, we should go and hear from him. Well, Prabhupada wasn't interested, he said, no, I've seen so many sadhus. Every day Prabhupada's father would invite 5 sadhus for lunch, and he said, I've seen so many sadhus, and I've never seen any one of them. I was never impressed with any of them. So this must be another one of those sadhus. But anyway, his friend took him to see Bhaktisiddhanta. And after meeting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Prabhupada had a change of heart. And Bhaktisiddhanta looked at Prabhupada and said, you're a young man, and why don't you spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya all over the world, in the English-speaking world? Of course, Prabhupada was a little shocked to hear that in the first meeting. But when Prabhupada, after they spoke with Bhaktisiddhanta for some time, and Prabhupada argued that India had to be independent. As long as we're a dependent country, then no one will hear this message. But Bhaktisiddhanta said, no, this is not a political movement, this is a spiritual movement. It can't wait for independence. It must be preached immediately. So Prabhupada took that instruction to heart. A.K. Kuranandana, Bhagavad-Gita 4:2, 41 or 42, 41, that after he met Bhaktisiddhanta, his friend said, what do you think about Bhaktisiddhanta? And Prabhupada said that he's a Vaikuntha man. That he can understand by talking to Bhaktisiddhanta that he was not one of those sadhus that were coming for lunch at his house every day, but he was a bona fide spiritual master. So you can understand, a man, even the best dressed man, may appear very intelligent until he speaks. And when one speaks, then you can understand what the condition is, what are the qualities of a person. So like Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada was not a cheater guru. There were so many gurus before Prabhupada went to America and made many disciples, collected a lot of money, and had so many things, but they weren't genuine gurus. They couldn't give the science of Krishna consciousness. They were mostly Mayavadi. Instead of God is love, just get some Mayavadi or some mumble jumbo, a lecture. It didn't make any sense, but they were charismatic, and they were able to have so many cheap followers. Cheap guru gets so many cheap followers. And so if someone wants to be cheated, then he can get a guru who's also a cheater. Because, so Prabhupada wasn't like that. He said to his disciples, you have to follow these 4 principles. No meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. So this is a qualified people. Instead of making many disciples, he wanted to make qualified disciples and make his disciples into Vaishnavas. Not just Brahmins, but Vaishnavas. So they criticized Prabhupada for giving second initiation and initiating people into making Western people who weren't born in Brahmin families into giving second initiation to such people. But this is defeated this argument that you have to be born in a Brahmin family is not found anywhere in the scriptures. It says Chaturvarna Mahasrishtam Janma Guna Karma Vihashaha. It's not Janma Karma. It's not by birth, but it's by quality. One becomes a Brahmin. So Prabhupada didn't do something that was not in our line. And Sanatana Goswami writes that you can turn bell metal into gold. There's a process which you mix bell metal with mercury, and it turns into gold. So someone may be born in a low family, a dog-eating family, but if he shows the qualities of a Brahmin, he should be accepted as a Brahmin. And one may be born in a Brahmin family, but if he's acting like a Sudra, then he should be accepted as a Sudra. So this way, there's many, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, there's many verses which justify giving Brahman initiation to people who are trying to become qualified Brahmins. Of course, Prabhupada knew we weren't qualified Brahmins, but he was giving us a chance to become qualified Brahmins. At least if we chanted 16 rounds and followed the 4 regular principles, that put us in the mode of goodness. And at least we were in a better position to become Krishna conscious than any other movements which don't stress any principles and keep their followers in the mode of passion and ignorance. So this is the first thing here. It says one should search out a spiritual master and better render service unto him. You see the example when Madhavendra Puri was dying, he was lamenting that he had not attained Krishna in Vrindavan. And Ramachandra Puri was his disciple and came there and criticized his guru and said, why are you lamenting? You should just meditate on Brahman. So Madhavendra Puri was not pleased with him, and Ramachandra Puri became a critic and a fault finder because he didn't get the blessings of his spiritual master. But Ishvara Puri, he rendered menial service to his guru in his last days of his life, and he was pleased with him, so he got prema bhakti, or he got pure love of Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya accepted Ishvara Puri as his spiritual master. Also, Narottam Das Thakur was instructed that you should go to Vrindavan and take initiation from Lokanath Das Goswami. But Lokanath Goswami had made a vow never to take any disciples. So Narottam Das stayed with Lokanath Das Goswami for 1 year and was chanting 1 lakh every day or 2 lakhs every day. And when his guru would go to answer the call of nature, Narottam Das would wait till he leaves, and then he'd clean up after him. So Lokanath Das Goswami was surprised to see that the place was clean every time he went there. So one day he hid himself in the bushes and waited to see what would happen after he answered the call of nature, and he saw that Narottam Das was coming there to clean up after him. So because he had rendered menial service to his guru, then he said, okay, I will give you initiation. So Narottam Das was initiated by Lokanath Das Goswami. Although Narottam Das was empowered by Lord Chaitanya entered his body when he was 12 years old. He didn't need a guru, but just to set the example. When Krishna took birth, he took his first initiation from Garga Muni, name-giving ceremony, and then he went to mature at 11 and took second initiation from Gargamacharya, the guru of the Yadav dynasty. And Krishna Balam, they both took second initiation at that time. They didn't need a guru. Krishna doesn't need a guru, but just to set the example for everyone in human society. Lord Chaitanya, he didn't need a guru, but he took initiation from Ishvara Puri just to show that it's necessary that one take a spiritual master. So in this way, the service must be rendered to the spiritual master. If he's present and if it's easy, available, then one should go to the spiritual master and ask him, what service I can do for you. Of course, in our movement, the spiritual master has some gurus have so many disciples, it's not possible for everyone to serve him directly. Same case in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he was always traveling, he had so many disciples, so not everyone could be his personal servant. But so that if one has a chance, then he should try to serve his spiritual master in one way or another. But every time one sees a spiritual master, one should offer obeisances and try to touch his feet and ask him, what service I can do for you. So that's the first point. Then one should inquire from the spiritual master. But we should not inquire in a challenging mood. We should inquire from the spiritual master in a submissive mood. If one is too proud, then one will be inquiring in a challenging mood. And one may think he knows better than the spiritual master. It's called overintelligence. Sometimes some of Prabhupada's disciples thought they knew better than Prabhupada. One person asked Prabhupada, he was going to Radhakund and got some bad association, asked Prabhupada if he could recommend someone to be his guru. But Prabhupada rejected that person because he was not submissive anymore. He had become proud and was not fit to be a disciple. So this is important that we inquire submissively. If we have questions, we inquire from the spiritual master. If it's possible, nowadays by email, you can make inquiry, or if there's a mediator, someone who's in charge of the disciples, then you can inquire from them, or any senior devotee, you can make inquiries from them. If it's not possible to inquire directly from the spiritual master, if we have some questions or whatever may be, some doubts about the philosophy or the Krishna conscious movement. And the third thing is one must be fully surrendered. The Guru says jump, you say how high. Prabhupada told his fledgling disciples, you go to London, you go to Africa, you go to Australia, you go to Europe. They said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. One time Prabhupada was in Mexico City. He told the best book distribution, pick the number one book distributor, that you should become the head Pujari. And the disciple said, no, Srila Prabhupada. But the servant told that devotee, you don't say no to your spiritual master. The spiritual master gives an order, you say, yes, sir. And you follow that order. And Tamal Krishna was in Mayapur, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Mayapur. He was having trouble. The presidents were complaining to Prabhupada that he was taking the brahmacharis out of the temple for his Radha Damodar party. And they didn't like that. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to Prabhupada, well, then you might as well, why don't you just send me to China? And the next day, Prabhupada called Tamal Krishna Maharaj in his room and he said, now you should go to China. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, well, I was just joking, Prabhupada. He said, well, you don't joke with the spiritual master. Now either you sit down here in Mayapur, you won't have any more service, either you go to China. So he had to accept that instruction. And he did go to China, but it was difficult to go to China at that time. It's still difficult because it's a communist country and they give us trouble. Anyway, so this is the way this disciple should be surrendered to the order of the spiritual master, and not even at the cost of his own interest. If the spiritual master orders you to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do, you do that. And if he orders you not to do something that you would ordinarily do, then you do that. Like Prabhupada said, we should rise before 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, that is a difficult task. People coming from the material life, people don't go to sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning. Or they stay up half the night partying or whatever, getting intoxicated. So to live a regular life, take rest at 9 o'clock and get up at 4 o'clock was not so easy. But Prabhupada ordered that, not at the very beginning of the movement, but as the devotees became a little bit advanced, he instituted the Mangal Arati. So Mangal Arati is 1.5 hours before sunrise, the Brahma Murta hour, the best time to make spiritual advancement. So we do that. We get up early in the morning. When the nighttime, it says, was nighttime for the conditioned souls, the daytime, time awakening for the introspective sages, for the devotees. So we don't sleep in the morning hours. It's the best time for spiritual advancement. So the idea is that a guru is required. And anything we do, we have to find a guru. It says if one must can read all the books, study alone is not enough. You can read all of Prabhupada's books, but you have to also accept a guru. Because if you want to become a doctor, you can read all the medical books, but still you have to go to medical school and get trained up by professional doctors to get a diploma to be considered a bona fide doctor. Otherwise, you may call yourself a doctor, and that's called a quack. That's called someone who's not really a doctor, but he may pretend to be a doctor. But sooner or later, the problem may come up and he can't solve that problem. He'll expose himself as not being a real doctor. So you can't study all of Prabhupada's books, but in the Rupa Goswami says that those Guru Ashraya, the first principle in devotional service is one should accept the spiritual master. Now the spiritual master can impart knowledge because he's seen the truth, so the spiritual master should be an Uttama Adhikari. But if the spiritual master may be a Madhyama Adhikari, or may be a Kanistha Adhikari, but you can still accept him as your spiritual master. So the guru, there are two kinds of gurus, the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru. The Shiksha Guru, the Diksha Guru gives you first and second initiation and changes your name. Prabhupada says that If you don't change your name, then you get a spiritual name, then you can't get out of the material world. If you have a material name, you can't go back to Godhead. You have to have a spiritual name. So people born in this movement may have a spiritual name, so they keep their name, and the Guru may add something to their name if they keep their name. But in all cases, you must change your name and accept a bona fide spiritual master. First principle by Rupa Goswami. So there's no question of not accepting a spiritual master. But if one finds that the spiritual master, someone else can give him shiksha, can give instructions, with the permission of a spiritual master, he can go to someone who's more advanced and elevated, and Krishna consciousness take shiksha or take instruction from him. So there's no harm in doing that. So there's two kinds of gurus, shiksha and diksha guru. The diksha guru is one, and the diksha guru should never be rejected unless he falls down from the principle of Krishna consciousness and goes away. Even when Radhar Pandit went to Lord Chaitanya and said that I received my mantra from Pundarik Vijayanidhi, but I gave my mantra to an unqualified person, and now I'm feeling despondent, I'm feeling unhappy, so please give me my mantra again. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, I can't give you mantra again, because your guru is still present on the planet and will be coming soon. And if I give you mantra again, that will create havoc in your spiritual life. So if one has a spiritual master and he's in good standing, he should not be rejected in any circumstance, but you can go to someone else for more shiksha, more instructions. And our line is a shiksha line, both shiksha and diksha. But Prabhupada is a shiksha guru. For the next 10,000 years, he says his books would be law books for the next 10,000 years. So we're taking shiksha from Prabhupada, but Prabhupada is not on the planet, so you can't just rubber stamp people and say, no, I'm a Prabhupada disciple, just by reading his books. But you have to, Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to become guru. Lord Chaitanya told he went to South India, he told the Brahmin, you become guru. So this is important that the disciples of Srila Prabhupada have taken up this role of initiating guru for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, how will this Krishna consciousness movement be spread? Now Prabhupada is not on the planet anymore. So one cannot artificially say, I'm a Prabhupada disciple. Of course, we're all Prabhupada disciples in the sense that we're taking shiksha from Prabhupada by reading Prabhupada's books. All of you have come to Krishna consciousness by reading Prabhupada's books. Is that correct? How many came from Krishna consciousness by reading Prabhupada's books? Practically everyone. So we're taking shiksha from Prabhupada, not diksha. And Prabhupada's appearance day is coming up on the 4th of September. So every year we celebrate the appearance and disappearance of the spiritual master. The spiritual master, he doesn't take birth and he doesn't die. We don't say he was born at a certain time and he died at a certain time. We say that he appeared and disappeared. So by the arrangement of Krishna, the spiritual master comes in the material world, and by the arrangement of Krishna, the spiritual master leaves the world. So he appears and disappears in due course of time. And the spiritual master, it can't be an ordinary man. What is the use of taking initiation from an ordinary man? If he's an ordinary man, then he can't help you, he can't help himself. It says one may have all the brahminical qualifications, but if he's not a devotee of Krishna, then he has no good qualification. Then he can't deliver anyway, he can't deliver himself. But if one becomes a Vaishnava, becomes a devotee of Krishna, then he can deliver his whole family. Prahlad Maharaj delivered his whole family. It says 10 generations, 21 generations past and future. It's like even when Prahlad Maharaj went to war with the Yakshas killed his brother. So Prahlad Maharaj, no, that was Dhruva Maharaj, right? Dhruva Maharaj. Was it Dhruva Maharaj? Yeah, Dhruva Maharaj. And we killed those persons, those yakshas, but because they were killed by a pure devotee, they attained the heavenly planet. So the spiritual master, he will take, his business is to take his disciple back to Godhead. So it may take some time, may take more than one birth. Bhavanam Jamanamante, Garavamam Papajante, Vasudevasanam Iti, Samahama Sudurlabha. So it may take some time to become Krishna conscious. So we have to be patient and practice Krishna consciousness with full attention. So Prabhupada said that the problem with his disciples is they weren't afraid enough of Maya. So that's why many of Prabhupada's disciples were, even though they had the Prabhupada association and they served Prabhupada, they still were allured by the material energy. Even Lord Chaitanya's servant, Krishna Das, when Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, the Lord Chaitanya's servant, Krishna Das, was allured by these gypsies. They were called Bhattaharis. And they had a way of controlling people's mind with women, send their women, and to attract people to their following. So one time they allured Krishna Das in the early morning to their camp. And Lord Chaitanya went to their camp and said to them, "Why have you taken my servant? I need this man." And they came to Lord Chaitanya with weapons to kill Lord Chaitanya. But the weapons fell out of their hands and started cutting up the Bhattaharis, and they all ran away. And then Lord Chaitanya grabbed Krishnadas by the hair and pulled him back, brought him back to his service. So Lord Chaitanya, we wonder why Lord Chaitanya is omniscient, omnipotent, he knows everything, why he would allow his servant to be allured by Maya, to be allured by gypsies. And the reason is we have Mayadut independence, so we can choose which path, what we want to do, what we don't want to do. So Krishna misuses his independence. The Lord Chaitanya kept him as his servant until he went back to Jagannath Puri. Then he rejected him. He called him a Buliya. He said, "This man is not fit to be my servant anymore, so I don't want to see him anymore." But the disciples of the Guru were kind to Krishnadas, and they didn't reject him. They let him stay and still do service. So they sent Krishnadas to Navadvip to inform Mother Sachi that Lord Chaitanya had returned from South Indian tour. So in this way, even though the spiritual master, Guru Krishna presided by Bhakti Lata Bij, the time of initiation, the spiritual master gives the seed of devotional service. And so the creeper, the seed of devotional service, is planted in the heart of the disciple. And that seed will grow if we stick to the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, follow the 9 processes of devotional service. So the spiritual master, he can give a clear picture of the absolute truth. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, we may have read so many books about spiritual books. They're supposed to be spiritual, but they didn't give any clear understanding. Prabhupada called Brahmananda into his room, who had been reading a Bhagavad-Gita, some Bhagavad-Gita, and he had Brahmananda read 2 pages from the Bhagavad-Gita he had. And then he said, "Okay, close the book, tell me what you read." And Brahmananda couldn't say anything. So it didn't make any sense, so he couldn't say anything. So Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Atar Rup. And in Russia, when they wanted to ban the Bhagavad Gita 2 times. The first time they wanted to ban the Bhagavad Gita, but I don't know why, but they felt it was a threat to their culture. So the lawyer for the devotees said, this Bhagavad Gita has been in your library since 1930, and why you never protested then, so why are you protesting now? And they said, well, that was a different Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is as it is. And this Bhagavad Gita is making people devotees of Krishna. So the Bhagavad Gita in the library may have been read by so many people, but they never became devotees of Krishna. So this Bhagavad Gita is making devotees of Krishna. And Christians don't like that. They think that Jesus is the only way. You gotta be, if you're not a Christian, then you're going to hell forever. But Prabhupada went to America not to introduce a new religion, to give the absolute truth, to teach people how to love God. That's the whole meaning, religion. If religion doesn't teach people how to love God, then that's not a real religion. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Dharma pratitakatavo cha paramo nirmatsaram vejam vastam atu vastu shivanam tavotra mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vapar Ishwarha Chajo Ridi Avirudate Cha Kridva Bi Shushubi Tatsana. Immediately rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, the Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality, distinguished from illusion, for the welfare of all. Such truths uproot the threefold miseries. This Bhagavatam, compiled by his great sage Vyasadeva, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need for any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. So there again we have the knowledge which is given by the spiritual master, which is transcendental knowledge. And also in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that Sarusanga, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Mantra Sarusanga, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. The verdict of all scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain success. So, this is what is wanted. Prabhupada gave us the message of the Bhagavatam, message of Krishna consciousness. So we'll not be bewildered in any way. We'll understand, get a clear understanding of this philosophy, a clear understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that God's a person. The other gurus may have many disciples. They say God is love, or God is one, or you can't talk about God, or God is. Other religions say God doesn't have a form. God is a formless. God is because they think spiritual life means something formless. Material life, we have form, variety. So people think the spiritual life is just the opposite. No form, no variety. But Chintamani Prakamasu Kalpaviksha says Brahma Samhita, in the spiritual world, there's so much variety, and Krishna is served by hundreds and millions of Lakshmis or Gopis. So there's the material world, there's variety. The material world is just a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So that's why sex life is so prominent in the material world, because sex life is also prominent in the spiritual world. But it's a different kind of sex life. Krishna's poor had these rasa dance with the gopis, but if you read that story of the rasa dance in the Krishna book, 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and you read Srila Prabhupada's purports, you'll not misunderstand that this rasa dance, Krishna dancing with gopis, dancing with young girls in the dead of night, was not an ordinary thing. It was not like a ballroom dance, and it had nothing to do with the material world. It was nothing. The gopis were lusty after Krishna, but their lust was on the spiritual platform. Lust and love. Love in the material world, they always sing about love and talk about love, but that is the only lust. Man is thinking how much I can get out of the woman's thinking how much I can get out of the man. Everyone's just interested in their own sense gratification. But the gopis were only interested in pleasing Krishna. So it was the difference between day and night, or iron and gold. But this is spiritual life. And Krishna's activities have nothing to do with this material world. So it says, by understanding Krishna's activities, that one no longer has to take birth again in this material world. Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo vedi tattvata, jatva deham pranarjama, naiti mem iti so arjuna. So if we know Krishna in truth, then we can go back to Godhead. So the Guru has to give the truth about spiritual life, and then the Guru can be considered a bona fide spiritual master. If he says it's all one, or there's no God, or this and that, we don't accept such bogus philosophies. So the Guru can't be an armchair speculator. The scientists and the philosophers and so many scholars, they're all armchair philosophers, speculators. They say there's no life on any other planet. They say so many things. That life comes from chemicals. Prabhupada proved many times, he proved that life cannot come from chemicals. That life comes from life. And that if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, so many stories about different events that happen on different planets. And there's life on every single planet in this universe. It's a misconception that we have a false ego. Our false ego has us thinking that there's only life on this planet and there can't be life on any other planet. But that doesn't make sense. Every planet is there. There's so many hundreds of millions of planets, hundreds of millions of universes. And every planet there's some kind of life form. And it may not be this same as we have here, but there's life on every single planet. So this is God's creation. Ishvasham idam sabam. Everything is perfect and complete in the creation of the Lord. So He created this material world, and everything is perfect and complete. We just have to study the Srimad Bhagavatam, study Prabhupada's books to understand how it's perfect and complete. So we'll stop there. Anybody have any comments or questions? He has a question. Question man's not here tonight. He has an intelligent question, I hope.
I was wondering how I could find my spiritual master.
What?
I was wondering how I could find my spiritual master.
Well, the spiritual master, you will find your spiritual master because Krishna's in your heart. As Lord Nityananda, He's the original spiritual master in our heart. So if you pray to Lord Nityananda, see your sincere desire to get a spiritual master, then you will find a spiritual master. Also Radharani, His original spiritual master. You can't serve Krishna unless you please Radharani. She has to recommend you. So Chaita Guru is in your heart. Lord Nityananda is the Chaita Guru. He's in your heart, and He can guide you. If you pray to Lord Nityananda for guidance, to find a spiritual master. Any other question? All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.